Fasten your seatbelts for the realest Eagles and Sixers YouTuber! my channel, you know the deal. Yo, boy, always keeps things real. I'm simply statue, think the slate, dropping unrealistic mags, 2K takes for the clip. Even though cats like that get views closer to the milli, never hear me preach, slip on to Philly. Before you watch the Eagles all the way through to early 22, authentic talk, forget what others do. Come to my channel, you know the deal. Yo, boy, always keeps things real. The 24/7, 365 way. Sports content for the reals to fill the day. Check. Come on, let's see my fee. Check. All right, can you guys see me? Hold on a sec. Check. All right. There we go. Anyway. talking about this one, folks. Where do I begin? Where do I begin? Well, let's start with the obvious. The Philadelphia Eagles, folks, are now sitting at 8-3 after a loss to the Dallas Cowboys. In a game we were up 21-0. We gave up 21 unanswered points to the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I get it. I get it. You know, we're division rivals with the Dallas Cowboys. We play them twice a year. We usually split. That's the per usual, particularly when the Cowboys are healthy at quarterback, or at least playing their quarterback for one of the two games. We usually split the two games. Last year we swept them, but that was also when they had no Dak Prescott. They had to start Cooper Rush. And then, you know, the last time we swept the Cowboys when they were healthy was 2011, and before that 2006. So we're used to splitting with the Cowboys. This is nothing new. We beat them at home week 1. They beat us week 12 at their stadium. Nothing new, but it's not just the fact that we split with the Cowboys. Eagles fans and Cowboys fans too have come to accept the fact that, hey, we usually split games with the Dallas Cowboys. That's just the per usual. That's business per usual. I'm not surprised about that one bit. But what's really crazy, though, is that we ended up splitting is the way it happened, because we come out the game, right out the gates, roaring. First drive, you Eagles march down the field, end up scoring 6. That's exact. And you're thinking, all right, now this offense has got it going. We're playing a Dallas Cowboys defense that's been struggling all season, that's been getting cooked and roasted like Thanksgiving turkey every single week. So we're thinking, here we go. This is where the offense finally gets it together. This is where it all comes together. The Philadelphia Eagles offense was looking great. First drive, we had a few key catches by A.J. Brown. We got A.J. Brown involved in the offense, and it's looking like everything's going to start working out. Then we get a stop. Eventually, we go down. We get the ball back. What do? We move down the field again, get another touchdown. We're up 14-0. It's like, all right, I got a good feeling about this one. I got a confident feeling about this one. Because I never get too comfortable with a lead ever, whether it be a 14-point lead, a 7-point lead, a 20-point lead, whatever the case may be. I really don't get comfortable with these leads because football's a 60-minute game. You never know what might happen in those 60 minutes. Even when you think it's going great, everything's going as planned, you still never know what the finish is going to be. And yesterday, we saw proof, full-fledged proof, that that's what happens. And we go through this game. It was amazing. First quarter, we get a 4th-and-3 stop. A Prescott pass to Javonte Williams was Nakobe Dean, tight coverage, helped force an incompletion. All right, good job by Nakobe Dean. We get a stop right to start the game. That's what I'm talking about. Now, we can work right down the field, get that opening touchdown, 16-yarder to A.J. Brown, 3 targets for Brown, 3 catches, a 14-yarder by Saquon. Nice opening drive against the Dallas Cowboys defense that struggled all season. Great start. Then later on, when we get the ball back, 2nd and goal, the Jalen Hurts 7-yard run, nice spin move, and he ends up finishing off with a touchdown, 14-0. You're like, all right, this is it. But then, all of a sudden, we get the ball. Cowboys get the ball moving downfield. They're moving into scoring territory, the other 31. Kevontae Turpin fumbles it. Zach Bond recovers. And guess what? Oh, Eagles get it back. Nuh-uh. So much for the Cowboys scoring the touchdown on that one. Then we just keep going. 2nd quarter, we do the tush push. Guess what? 6. Make it 21-0, folks. We're roasting them like Thanksgiving turkey, huh? Eagles getting their Thanksgiving early. Roasting the Dallas Cowboys. Oh, then we get late in the first half. Oh, this is where it gets good. Oh, it looks like the Cowboys are going to score. We're still up by 3 scores, though. But then guess what? Dak throws the ball in the end zone. Reed Blankenship gets the pick. And you're like, now this is where the Eagles were coming on locked. It was looking like a combination of the Minnesota Vikings and the New York Giants Week 10 matchup, that's what it was, or Week 9 matchup, that's what it was looking like. It was looking like a combination of the Week 8 match. It was looking like Week 7 and Week 8. And we're like, oh, here we go now. Here we go. We're going to destroy the Dallas Cowboys, right? That's what it looked like. But then comes the second half. All of a sudden, second half, things start to go weird. Now, early on, okay, it wasn't that. What is most notable? First, Brandon Aubrey misses a field goal. We're like, okay, we're still rolling. Then we get to late in the third quarter. The Cowboys finally get on. First, you get that now. But it was 21-7 at halftime, though. No, it was 21-0. Then all of a sudden, we're like, oh, this is it. This is it. It's going well. But then all of a sudden, we get Cowboys get a touchdown. Then all of a sudden, they get another score. They're in striking range. It's 21-14 going into the fourth quarter. Right? But it's like, Cowboys were back in the game. I remember when the Cowboys got that second score, I'm like, oh, shit, they're back in this game. And knowing how our offense has been unable to play for 4 quarters the entire season, it seems like there's something I notice. Usually when the offense plays great in the first half, they're usually MIA in the second half. We saw that against the Broncos. We saw that against the Bucks. So then here we go. After 21 points in the first half, all of a sudden, third quarter, Cowboys are down. Only one score. We got a 21-14 lead. I'm like, oh, shit. Here we go. Cowboys are starting to move back into it. And I'm sitting there saying, all right, get it going. Got to get something going for this offense. Because I know we need something going. And then before you know, we get to early in the fourth quarter. You get it started. There was a 43-yarder. The Eagles ultimately allowed a 43-yard pass from Dak Prescott to George Pickens. This early in the fourth quarter on the drive that ultimately led to the 8-yard run by Prescott where he did the leap, the hurdle, where he did the hurdle spin into the end zone, and he got the touchdown. He did the forward flip and got the touchdown. I'm like, here we go. This is why you can never be content with a lead. Never. And this is why. It was all of a sudden 21-21. And I know a lot of Eagles fans were getting worried. I was one of them too. I'm worried. I'm like, oh, shit. The Eagles are coming back. They've come back. And I'm like, oh, my gosh. Here we go. This is where it's all going to start. And I was cynical as all hell when the Cowboys tied it up. I'm like, I don't trust this team one bit. They haven't been able to play 4 quarters all season. Kevin Patullo is a one-dimensional offensive play call. Usually, here's the trend. You notice, first half when the Philadelphia Eagles get off to a hot start. Notice they can't get anything going offensively the second half. And you know what it is, too, right? Let's be it's how anytime the Eagles start off hot, what happens is the opposing team always adjust at halftime. Always. The Buccaneers did it to us week 4. Week 5, the Broncos, when we lost that game and fell to 4-1. The Broncos adjusted in the second half. Their defense played better. They shut us down in the second half. And then the Cowboys did this defense who's been struggling all season long, who's been doo-doo, who's been toast, who have come on here, 3-point blitz after 3-point blitz episode and roasted their defense, saying their defense ain't got. Their defense ain't it. The defense can't get it done. They gave up over 40 points to the Broncos. Yes, over 40 points to the Denver Broncos. And guess what? Guess what? They adjust. They figured out the Philadelphia Eagles, unpredictable, multi-dimensional offense run by Kevin Patullo. I couldn't even say it with a straight face. And sure, we didn't score nothing the second half. Nothing. Against the same defense that gave up nearly 40 to Russell Wilson-led Giants, that gave up over 40 to the Broncos. That defense. The Eagles couldn't get anything going in the second half, point-wise. But there was, and that's even crazy. You know what's really, the thing that really me off, that really makes the second half more frustrating, is 2 second half fumbles. And that was a big X factor in the loss, too. The 2 second half fumbles. Even with the defense giving up 24 unanswered points, it was mostly the 2 fumbles, particularly the fumble by Saquon in the fourth quarter, that played a huge factor in the outcome of this game. Remember, we were at 21-21. We're starting to drive downfield. We had a few drives where we had a combined 52 yards. Then we finally get a drive going. We move past midfield. We're getting in Cowboys scoring territory. And then what happens? Hurts throws a screen to Saquon. He gets a few yards past the line of scrimmage. Coughs it up. Cowboys recover the fumble on a drive that everything was starting to go right. And as soon as that happened, the cynic in me took over. I'm like, yep, here we go. They're going to blow this game. Because nothing was going right in the second half. For me, that's when the full cynic took over. Nicky Steves was in full cynic mode, thinking, oh, this fucking team's going to lose. They're not going to win this game. And sure enough, it happened. Even when we got the stop immediately after the fumble, I'm like, yeah, but what's the offense going to do? So the Cowboys punt, and what happens? Gibson fumbles the punt return. Cowboys are in scoring territory, and I'm like, Paul, I'm grabbing my hair. I'm like, this is it. This is where it's going to happen. This is where the Cowboys are going to take the lead. But then, miraculously, the Eagles make a stop. 4th and 3. Ferguson gets the ball. You guys remember Plexico Burress was a Steeler against the Falcons. There was that controversial finish to an overtime game that resulted in a tie where Burress caught the ball. His feet were in the end zone, but the ball was behind the goalpost, and he got tackled facing that way. It was ruled short, and it ultimately ended up being a tie. That's what happened here with Jake Ferguson, where his feet were on the goal line, but the ball wasn't passed, and it was ruled a turnover on down. So we get the ball back. Okay, there is another chance, but I'm still cynical about it. And then sure enough, guess what happens? 3rd down, we give up a game-costing sack, and ultimately, and then guess what? Ultimately, that was it. Brandon Aubrey comes back on. He did miss a field goal earlier, as to Jake Elliott, but I'm not even going to talk much about Jake Elliott because even though his missed field goal did play a factor, it wasn't the main factor. So I'm kind of sparing Jake Elliott's miss on this one. But then ultimately, 3 seconds left, Brandon Aubrey's lining up. That's when all my cynicism was proven correct, even before he kicked the field goal, because you knew it. Brandon Aubrey's the best kicker in the NFL currently. It was a chip shot by his standards. Basically, it was like an extra point by Brandon Aubrey's standards. And sure enough, kick is good. Cowboys win on the last play. We gave up 24 unanswered points. Now, I can accept the split with the Cowboys. We're used to it. And quite frankly, Cowboys fans are used to splitting with us on the flip side. So I'm used to it. Eagles win 1, Cowboys win 1. But it's not necessarily the fact that we lost to the Cowboys that was the problem. It's the way it went down. In a game where the first half, it looked like the Eagles were going to easily decimate the Cowboys. It looked like, okay, this was going to be the game the offense finally got going, particularly in the first half. Eagles took advantage of the Cowboys' weaknesses on defense without real star players, and they marched down the field, got 3 scores early, 21-0. It looked like it was going to be one of those type of games. It looked like it was going to be Cowboys-Broncos Part 2 with the Eagles. And you thought, all right, this is it. But then to go from there to all of a sudden losing the game and not scoring another point in the second half against one of the worst defenses in the NFL this season, that's embarrassing right there. And Kevin Patullo, man, this has to be the worst signal caller that I know of in my lifetime, especially over the past decade with the Eagles. The worst. Worse than Brian Johnson. I'll say it. Because at least with Brian Johnson, he knew how to utilize A.J. Brown. And the Eagles at least could score some points with Brian Johnson. You see the Rams game You see the Buffalo game after Thanksgiving week when we came back, we won in overtime. You could see, or you see the Cardinals game or New Year's Eve. Even though we lost that game, we still got over 30 points at a close game. So even that Brian Johnson-led offense could at least move the ball downfield and score some points. Listen, to hear out, I think Chiefs going to destroy them. I think Cowboys, their defense sucks right now. Right, and that's right. I mean, that's great because you guys. That's funny, Tyler. You got the Kansas City. You got the Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day. You get to go to AT&T and embarrass them, and you're fresh off a huge win against the Colts. Which, for those of you that are fans, tomorrow, 12 Eastern Standard Time, I'm doing the 3-Point Blitz, episode 36. We're going to recap all the games for Week 12. So I will definitely, Tyler, I'll definitely talk more about your team's huge win and season-saving win against the Colts tomorrow. But now, for us, we get to watch you guys play Dallas, and that should be a win for you guys, for sure. Now, as far as the Eagles go, now you got to come back off that. You lose in embarrassing fashion on the road to the Cowboys. Now, I get it. We're usually AT&T stadiums are kryptonite as far as NFC East rivals go. I get that. But now you got to come back from that with a lot of question marks. Guess what we got to do? Black Friday, we got to play at home. But we're not just playing at home. We're playing against the Chicago Bears. Mind you, a Chicago Bears team who's finding their groove with Ben Johnson as their head coach, who's now 8. See. Let me check something real quick. I mean, it's just absolutely ludicrous, man. The Philadelphia Eagles just... And now you got to come back and play the Chicago Bears, who are 8-3, who've won 7 of their last 8. And not to, that's another team who destroyed the Cowboys defense. Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears. You would have thought maybe the Eagles would find a way to do something, but no. And it says more about the Eagles offense and Kevin Patullo that this team can't find a way to move the ball downfield. And they have the worst play calling. You want to see, perfect example, the sack on the final drive. Remember that third down, we gave up the sack. We punted the ball away, didn't get the ball back. Cowboys kicked the game winner with 3 seconds left. And that play right there, it was 3rd and short. I don't know why he didn't run an RPO or at least try to run Hurts out of the pocket. And if he could find a receiver, let him find a receiver. And we could have done something there because the Eagles had 2 timeouts, which we ended up giving up those 2 timeouts on the final drive only for the inevitable final play field goal to ruin it for us. But if Jalen Hurts could have ran to the outside, maybe to his left, maybe he wouldn't have had someone open, but he could have ran for it, gone out of bounds, gotten the first down, or slid. We could have took a timeout, and we could have still at least tried to get in field goal range. But that's not what happened. You just see that as one example of a terrible play call. It says our Chiefs right guard, Trey Smith, expecting to miss some time with an ankle injury. And we'll talk about, I'm thinking maybe that's good to know. We'll talk about that more maybe tomorrow. I'm thinking tomorrow maybe on the 3-Point Blitz. I'll definitely talk about Kansas City tomorrow, and we'll talk about the rest of the league. Right now, though, I'm mostly going to focus this stream on the Eagles and the repercussions of this Cowboys game. And as far as this goes, now, we're still at 8-3. We're still got a 3-game lead on the Cowboys for the NFC East. I'm still confident the Eagles are going to win this division. I am. I'm not putting it past them. I got no doubts about it. And I look, because the Eagles are still got a 3 games lead ahead of the Cowboys. Giants and Commanders are coming nowhere near. And I look at the Cowboys schedule. You got Kansas City Thursday. That should be a win for Kansas City. Then you got the Lions. Then they got the Vikings, the Chargers, Commanders, Giants. But I could at least see with 3 of those games, the Kansas City, the Lions and Cowboys, those would and the Chargers, excuse me, those are probably losses for the Cowboys right there. The odds of them turning it around and coming back, I don't know. I'm not too high on the odds. I still think the Eagles got the NFCs because really, all you need is just one or two more wins, period. Even if you do come back and lose to the Chicago Bears, who have just gotten hot lately, there's still always the possibility. There's always that possibility that you turn around, you still got Washington twice. That could get you to 10 wins. And plus, there is the game. Which game is it? There's the Buffalo game. Buffalo's not looking too great. That could go either way. That's week 17. So there's 3 potential wins right there. So I'm still looking at the schedule thinking, all right, Eagles should ultimately be able to at least win enough games to win the division. So I'm not concerned about winning the NFC East. And although I am a little bit, I'm thinking we might go on a streak now where we lose a few games. Now, although the difference between this year and 2023, when we blew that 10-1, having a good shot at home field advantage in the playoffs and turn it to a 5 seed and a blowout loss to Tampa, the difference between those two scenarios is our defense is better this time around. Even with the 24 given up points, because we still got a few fourth down stops, a few takeaways in yesterday's game, despite losing 24-21. The defense did actually show some promise. Now, there were some weak points too, such as Keely Ringo and Adoree Jackson on CD. What are you doing putting Adoree Jackson on CD? Of course that ended up being a mismatch. What do you expect? Adoree Jackson, Keely Ringo, clearly the 2 weak points of this Eagles secondary. And it's proven. You see the Giants game in week 6 as a perfect example. That abysmal, I repeat, abysmal week 6 performance by Adoree Jackson and Keely Ringo against backups. Who was the best weapon for them? Wait, you had Darius Slayton out. You also had Malik Neighbors out. Now, so in that game, they were awful. Yesterday, Keely Ringo, Adoree Jackson, the weak points in the Eagles secondary. Now, Reed Blankenship, I'll give him props. He had an interception in the first half. Nice going. The Eagles, outside of that, their secondary did pretty solid. The defense did all right. Nakobe Dean helped stop a 4th down early in the game. He played tight coverage on a pass intended for Javonte Williams. So the defense was solid, even with the loss. I'm not really that mad at the defense. Aside from Keely Ringo and Adoree Jackson, who, it ain't just this game, it's all season long. Those 2 guys have been trash. Trash. It happened again, going against CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. And then what did you expect having those 2 guys there? Did you think any of those matchups were going to go great? Putting Keely or Adoree on CD or George Pickens, of course. What happened? Of course, they smoked us in that one. And that played a key role in the Cowboys' comeback. So I can still partially blame particularly the secondary of the Eagles, which is the weak point of this defense. And it doesn't help much and what happens is when the offense can't get shit going and the defense has to keep coming on the field, that just puts more pressure on the defense. Inevitably, they're going to tire, or the pressure is going to catch up. Having to carry the team's going to catch up to them. And there were moments where it caught up to them in this game. Now, even with that being said, like I said, you still had 2 4th down stops. That played a key role. The defense wasn't horrible, even despite the outcome. But the 24-point blown unanswered points, I mostly blame that on the offense. Special teams fumble by Turpin. No, not Turpin. Oh, shit. No, I'm thinking of Cavante Turpin from the... I'll come back to that. But we had the fumble there on the punt. We had the Saquon fumble in a drive that we were moving the ball downfield smoothly before the fumble with a chance of either a field goal or a touchdown. That could have changed the outcome of the game. But instead, we didn't get that. We got neither. Instead, what we got instead was a complete cluster. Instead, what we got was a fumble and then a muffed fumble on a kick return. But actually, I can't really blame that on the Eagles because here's the thing. The defense stopped them on both times. 4th and goal. The defense came through. After the fumble in Dallas territory, we got the ball back. So the defense did pretty solid, all things considering. I'm putting this one mainly on the offense. Give me 1 minute, folks. I'll be right back. And I'm back. It's crazy. The cool part, the one good thing about me waiting till now to talk about, I don't want to jinx it, but I haven't really gotten any Cowboy fans yet talking all that. We won, boys for life, rah, 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 rah. When winning a regular season matchup and splitting with the Eagles is the per usual, as well as the per usual current standard is the Philadelphia Eagles having more playoff success than the Dallas Cowboys, which has been the 21st century theme between the two teams. Get out of the 90s. That's over, gone, past. It's been 3 decades since y'all been to the Super Bowl. We've won 2 since then. We've been to 9 total conference championships. So I don't want to hear that talk about we won a regular season game. And when I say that, I'm really not taking a shot at the Cowboys fans as a whole. What I'm mostly talking about are those Cowboy fans that all act like every victory over the Philadelphia Eagles in the regular season is the biggest win in the world and then pretend they just won the Super Bowl every time. And look, there's two factions of Cowboy fans out there. There's the ones that are loyal fans that aren't stuck in the past that can actually talk about the current Cowboys. They'll talk about the good and the bad and give honest assessments. And they have honest discussions about the two teams, about the Eagles and Cowboys. There's Arku, who's always been a loyal supporter of my streams. So shout out to Arku. He's always been an honest Cowboys fan, both about his team, the good, the bad, as well as the Eagles, the good and the bad. I can have respectful talks with those Cowboys fans. So shout out to some of the true Cowboy fans like Arku. Congrats on your win yesterday. You did enough. Ultimately, you guys made adjustments at halftime. Your defense did its best work of the season, making adjustments at halftime, keeping the Eagles in check in the second half, stopped them from scoring a single touchdown. You forced 2 fumbles, and you scored enough points to beat the Eagles on a last-second field goal. So I'm giving the Cowboys props on this one. I'm not hating on y'all for that. You did your job. You won this game. And you pretty much all but saved your season. So I'm going to give the Dallas Cowboys props on that. So shout out to Arku and all the true Dallas Cowboy fans that aren't stuck in the past. You know, I'm still sticking with the Eagles, and I'm still going to laugh and still going to let the Cowboys ride with the Eagles till I die. But at least with y'all, I respect y'all. You're not a fan stuck in the 90s. You guys are honest. I respect them. So I got to give the Cowboys props where props is due. Dak Prescott, he threw a pick, but he also had 2 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown. He did his thing. He had himself a nice rebound. So I'll give him that. He had that 1 interception in the first half, but he put it behind him. So I at least got to come on here and give the Dallas Cowboys props too. I can't just come on here, hate on them, because they took advantage of the Eagles' mistakes, and they did what they needed to win that game. They made adjustments on defense, picked up on Kevin Patullo's one-dimensional play calling, and it worked out in their favor. So I can't hate on the Dallas Cowboys for that. They did what they needed to. Their receivers, Lamb, Pickens, they took advantage of the mismatches against the Eagles' secondary, and they used it to their favor. So I'm not mad at the Dallas Cowboys for that. I'll give them props for doing what they had to do to win this game. And that was an important win for them. Now they go and play Kansas City. Eagles move on, got to play the Bears on Black Friday at home. We'll see what both teams do from there. Well, with that being said, though, Cowboys, y'all still got an uphill battle to win the division. And for the Eagles, despite the loss, despite the split with the Cowboys, which is per usual, we're still got a 3-game lead for the NFC East. And like I said, I looked at the Cowboys schedule. They got the Chargers. They got Kansas City. And then you do have another game in there, kind of a trap game for the Cowboys as well. So it's going to be tough for the Cowboys to just win out. Oh, yeah, they have the Lions, too, on the schedule. That's going to be a tough one for them. Good luck with that one, Cowboys. So they got 3 games that they could lose. So Eagles still got strong odds of winning the NFC East. Now, could the Eagles choke it away again? It's possible. I don't think they're going to choke away the division like they did 2 years ago. The difference between 2 years ago and now is when the Eagles choked away in December, Cowboys were a good team that season. And they won enough games in December to help win out the division against us. While on the flip side, the Eagles just completely collapsed. This go around, the Cowboys aren't as strong a team as they were 2 years ago when they still had Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, and they still had those guys. And then that's part of it right there. And then we got Mike Green commented, Landon Dickerson said the Cowturds played a whole different defense in the second half. Did that mean Nick and Kevin can't make adjustments on the fly? Absolutely. Yeah, I've noticed that. I've noticed it going all the way back to earlier this season. See the first of Tampa Bay game, week 4. We held on to the lead and won that game, but the second half, we didn't score a single point. We didn't score at all on offense. Then against the Broncos, Sean Payton and his crew made adjustments, particularly on offense in the fourth quarter, and they kept us from scoring. So, yeah, absolutely. The Cowboys defense made some big adjustments. They were able to force a few fumbles. They forced a sack on a 3rd down, which forced the Eagles to punt the ball away. right at the end of the fourth quarter, and ultimately the Cowboys kicked the game-winning field goal. So, yeah, absolutely. And Landon Dickerson, yeah, he's absolutely right. The Eagles, that's the problem. Sirianni and Patullo can't adjust. The difference between last year and this year, well, for starters, it's Kellen Moore. Gosh, do I miss Kellen Moore as offensive coordinator. Because last year, the Eagles were excellent in the second half. Remember last year against the Bengals, the Ravens, the Steelers, they would come on strong in the second half. Remember the first go-around against the Cowboys when we played them at AT&T Stadium in November, pre-Thanksgiving last year, when they started Cooper Rush. First half, we were kind of, but then second half, we adjusted. Our offense blew them away the second half. The point being to your comment, Mike, is last year we made adjustments with Kellen Moore. This year with Kevin Patullo, no, we're not. You see this game right here because offense has been inconsistent all year. And he said, yeah, the dude was cut from the Jets for fumbling. Why is he here? Dude, I can't think of an answer. Like, dude, you saw this what he was with the Jets, and you put him in on special teams in a clutch situation with the game on the line, knowing he has a history of fumbling, knowing he was cut from his previous team with the Jets. And this is the guy you trusted with returns. That's absolutely, so that's incompetence right there. I don't get what they're thinking. And another thing is Tank Bigsby, too. Speaking of offense, here's another thing. Why haven't the Eagles tried to utilize Tank Bigsby more? I get you have Saquon on a big contract. Tank Bigsby's a temporary number 2 guy. I get that. But why not utilize Bigsby a little bit in the offense while he's under contract instead of wasting a whole season with him on contract? Because I've been saying this all season long. Tank Bigsby is that guy. Appreciate it, Mike. At Mike Green, subscribing to the channel. Thanks for the sub, Mike. So I'm glad you stopped by. Glad you enjoyed it. Thanks for your support. We got another subscriber, folks. We got Mike Green joining the Nicky Stees crew. And heads up, Mike, tomorrow at the noon Eastern Standard Time, I'm going to be hosting the 3-Point Blitz, episode 36. We're mostly going to talk about the NFL Week 12 as a whole. We're also, meaning we're going to talk not just about the Eagles, but also talk about the other games in the league, the big winners and losers. Talk a little bit about the NBA on that one. That'll be tomorrow at noon. I'll be live for that one. So if you got time tomorrow, you can catch me out there. We'll talk more about the rest of the NFL. And in this one, man, the whole Tank Bigsby one's got really, it makes no sense because they'll give him like 1 carry a game. And usually you'll see a situation where Tank Bigsby will get 1 carry for 6 yards. And you'll be like, all right, he got his carry. He got 6 yards off it. Why not try to utilize him a little bit more? Maybe give him the ball a few more times. Maybe, I don't know, try utilizing Tank Bigsby in short yard situations on 3rd down or short yard situations on 2nd down. Or maybe try, we got Joey, what's up? What is up? Thanks for stopping by. Why not utilize him a little bit more? Maybe try him in the pass game a little bit. I understand, again, Tank Bigsby is not the number 1 running back. I get it. He's a number 2 guy. But if you're going to bring him in, at least utilize him. Yesterday, he got 1 carry. And guess what he had? 8 yards on a carry. 8 yards. And against the Giants, he got 9 carries, 104 yards. October 19th against the Vikings, he had 1 carry for 11 yards. Last week against the Lions, 34 yards on 4 carries. So nothing to notice when I look at these stats. Tank Bigsby, when he is getting the ball, is actually doing solid. He is. So why not utilize him a little bit more, especially in yesterday's game, where you don't really have anything going, especially in that second half where we didn't score any points. Now, I understand there was that one drive we were moving the ball downfield. Unfortunately, a fumble ruined it. But speaking of ruining drives, there actually is something else I want to bring up, not just Tank Bigsby. The penalties, man. Some of these penalties are absolutely, it was ridiculous. Now, granted, some of them are poor officiating. Like there was that one call against Devontae Smith, which prevented Dallas Goedert from getting a third reception. That was awful. They called a penalty against Devontae Smith. That made no sense at all. I don't get what they were doing or what they were thinking. Now, granted, you could sit there and say, oh, the referees suck because it's in Dallas, but that's far from an excuse for this game. The Eagles have far bigger issues than a bad call against Devontae Smith or getting more penalties than Dallas. You can blame the lack of utilizing your backup running backs, Tank Bigsby, or, as Mike pointed out, Will Shipley. I sometimes forget that Shipley's even on the team. That's how much of a non-factor he is in the play calling. I almost forgot that Will Shipley's even on the team because he's not being utilized at all. That's why. And that's an indictment on the offensive play calling right there. I mean, remember week 1, I remember he got a carry or two against them. Remember before we got Tank Bigsby, A.J. Brown? No, not A.J. Brown. Remember we got week 1? We used Shipley. He had 3 carries, 26 total yards on 3 carries. And he was doing all right for the time he was in the game. And then against the Packers, he had 17 yards on 4 carries. And so it's like, all right, Will Shipley actually on this season, 11 carries, 45 yards. And you're thinking to yourself, with this inability to get the run game going on the ground, Saquon's just meh. It's not, why wouldn't they utilize these guys a little bit more? Listen, I understand that, look, Saquon's not having the greatest season in the world. He's not having an MVP caliber season. This year, Saquon's been pretty mediocre at best. But as Mike said, sometimes you got to take a different look at running back. And this is why sometimes teams have 1-2 at running back. If you're not having a great game from one, you at least have another to go off of that can maybe fill the void for that game. Or to some degree, pick up the slack running the ball. Because I said you could utilize Saquon in the pass game a little bit. Or you could even utilize him as a decoy. Maybe line him up at fullback with either Shipley or Bigsby as the number at running back position just to catch the defense by surprise a little bit. Because if you have Saquon, if you decide you're going to give Bigsby or Shipley some carries, you maybe line Saquon up at fullback. Maybe you could catch the defense off guard a little bit because they're going to see Saquon and wonder, okay, are we going to go to Saquon or are they going to the backup running back? You could still find creative ways to utilize Saquon, even if he's not having a great season running the ball. You could still sometimes utilize him in the passing game, or maybe use 2 backs. Sometimes that could catch him by surprise, or even allow Shipley or Bigsby to be more involved in the game. Give them more touches with the ball. But for whatever reason, the Eagles just they choose not to do that. But yeah, sometimes you've got to be able to make those adjustments there. And they don't do it. And oftentimes, the play calling gets one-dimensional. It's very predictable. We've seen this the last 3 weeks. We saw it last week against the Lions. Sometimes the run game and screen passes, they catch up on it real quickly. And it's gotten way too one-dimensional with Kevin Patullo with this play calling. And even with Jalen Hurts, I get their turn. What is he doing with Jalen Hurts? And speaking of that, let's talk about the 3rd and 2 call. That's what I referred to earlier. Jalen take 5 steps back. And I don't know if you heard me on this one earlier, but I'll reiterate. They could have easily in that situation ran. They could have ran Hurts to the left and maybe had him throw, or maybe run, get a few yards. Slide. You still had 2 timeouts. Or you could have just slid, gotten a first down, stepped out of bounds. Anything would have been better than what they did. Had them take 5 steps back and just get plummeted, only to have to punt the ball away. When Jalen Hurts is a pocket passer, it's not working, okay? Kevin Patullo needs to understand Jalen Hurts is not a pocket passer. He's an RPO guy. That's his strength. All right? Can Jalen Hurts throw the ball? Yes, he can. Can he throw in long yard situations? Yes, he can. Yes, he can. But he's not a pocket passing quarterback. And that's the problem. I've seen all season Kevin Patullo is trying to turn Jalen Hurts into a pocket passer when he's not. He's an RPO guy. You go back, rewatch any of those games from that 2022 season. What is Jalen Hurts' main strength? What was it? Was it being a pocket passer? Staying static? No. He's not that guy. He's an RPO guy. Keep it working that way. Keep it working that way. I don't get why they do that. It just doesn't, it's like the old saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't change it. Obvious, like you see the New Orleans Saints when Drew Brees was their quarterback, the New England Patriots with Tom Brady, and then Tampa Bay. They always kept the game plan work toward their strengths. Brees and Brady were both great at short yard passes in the pocket to set up some longer passes down the line. But that was Drew Brees and Tom Brady's strengths. The point is, with those quarterbacks, they didn't try to force them to be RPO guys because that wasn't who Brees and Brady were as QBs. They were pocket passers. But you stuck with that strength. You see Lamar Jackson with Baltimore. Now that Lamar's back and he's healthy, yes, they do have an easy schedule, but also the Ravens understand Lamar's an RPO guy. They've stuck by that formula of Lamar being an RPO guy, and it's helped them keep their season relevant, help them stay in check. The point is, when you know who your star quarterback is, you've got to utilize him to his strengths. What the hell is Kevin Patullo thinking, trying to make Jalen Hurts a pocket passer? First off, he's not a taller quarterback like a Tom Brady or a Peyton Manning or historic examples, Dan Marino or Joe Montana. He's not that guy. Jalen Hurts he's your smaller quarterback. That's typically nowadays the game. That's what your smaller quarterbacks are. They're RPO type guys. You've got to stick them with that strength. In our coup comments, yeah, we've seen it. Absolutely. The Thunder are in cruise control right now. I know you're happy about them. And well, our coup, tomorrow at noon, 3-Point Blitz is going to be episode 36. If you want to hear me talk about the Thunder, I'll definitely drop a little bit about it in my NBA discussion toward the end of the stream. Once we recap week 12, so you can stay tuned for that. And it makes absolutely no sense right here. The play calling and decision making is absolutely ridiculous here. And it's obvious we miss Kellen Moore sorely. It's that old expression, you don't realize what you got till it's gone. And we certainly miss Kellen Moore as an offensive coordinator. It's a shame because he could have stayed with us instead of taking the head coaching job with the Saints. Because, yeah, how's that working out over there for New Orleans for him, huh? Turns out, as a head coach, you actually need a quarterback. You actually need a complete team. Oh, wait, it was Cowboys have a tough 3 games. Chiefs, Lions, Vikings. Well, Vikings, I don't know about the Vikings. That's a winnable game. Vikings have been trashed thus far. But Chiefs and Lions, those are definitely going to be 2 tough games for the Cowboys. Vikings, they've looked hard. J.J. McCarthy looks raw. And he looks like green as the grass. He looks green like St. Patrick's Day green. He's green like the Eagles' Kelly green uniforms. So I think the Vikings is going to be one of the easier games for the Cowboys of these next 3. But yeah, you saw what we did against them. We had our second best offensive performance of the season against the Vikings, for crying out loud. That team, it's almost like last year never even happened with them. Then again, now that I think about it, I could say the exact same thing about my team. But at the same time, we are 8-3, so I'm not counting the Eagles out just yet. I still believe they can win the NFC East. I don't think they're going to collapse like they did, but it could happen. It still could. So I'm facing the possibility the Eagles could go on a downward slide to finish the season. And for those thinking, there's no way it's going to happen. It can't happen twice in a row. Well, or 2 times in 3 years. Well, it can happen repeatedly. Remember in the early 2010s, the Dallas Cowboys, 2011, 2012, and 2013, all 3 years they went into December looking like they had strong odds of winning the NFC East. And what happened all 3 times? They took a few losses in December. Week 17, 2011, lose to the Giants. Giants win the division, win Super Bowl 46. 2012, take a few losses, lose Week 17 to Washington. Washington wins the division. 2013, host the Eagles at AT&T Stadium Week 17. After taking a few losses in December, Eagles win the division. So to say that is nothing like that could ever happen twice in a short period of time to the Eagles, history shows that it can happen. It happened to the Cowboys 3 times in the early 2010s. Remember when we made fun of the Cowboys for that? Especially after the 2013 season, that they can't play in December, they can't finish. So, yeah, it can happen to any team. The curse can happen all the time. If you've ever followed the Seattle Mariners in baseball, there's the September curse where they usually fall apart at the end of the season. So trust me, it can happen. It could happen. But this time going, the Eagles have a much better defense than 2023. So it's not as likely they're going to have a 2023 fall off to round out the holiday season and the close of the regular season. But make no mistake about it, lightning can strike twice in a bottle or strike multiple times. The Buffalo Bills in the early 90s got to 4 straight Super Bowls only to lose all 4 times. You would have thought, nah, that can't happen. They got to at least win one of the 4, right? So it could still happen, but this time around the defense is better. But the offense, man, Kevin Patullo and this team's got to get it together. Because we're now going on short notice. Got to travel back home, mind you. Then we got to get ready. Some of these players you got a short week, a travel week. You barely got time to practice. Now you're going to go against the Chicago Bears team who, newsflash, have the same record as us, but momentum is growing in their favor. They seem to be getting stronger as the season goes along, referring to the Chicago Bears. So I'm not really looking as much forward to that game. I mean, yeah. I mean, could I see the defense stepping up, have themselves a rebound game against Caleb Williams? Yes, I could. Because despite his improvement, Caleb Williams, I mean, he's improved year 2, but he's still not truly that face of the franchise yet. So I could see the Eagles' defense having a good game, but the offense, dude, it's simple as this. Kevin Patullo should be stripped of play calling duties. You say, well, you can't make that change mid-season. Please, like the Eagles haven't tried doing this before, right? They didn't make a change with Sean Desai and try to promote Matt Patricia to interim defensive coordinator one time. Remember that? And that turned out to be a disaster, but still, don't tell me that the Eagles can't make a change with the signal caller during the season. They can. But the question would be, who would you have at this point? I mean, I can't think of an answer right now, so you're kind of stuck with Kevin Patullo for the remainder of the season. And like I said, I'm not necessarily concerned about us losing out the division, even though it could happen. I'm more concerned about come playoff time. Where do we finish? Do we get the 3 seed, the 4 seed? Who are we going to play in the opening round? Are we going to play the Packers? Possibly. Are we going to play the Seahawks in the opening round? I mean, I would rather play the Packers, but we could end up being stuck as the 4 seed playing the Seahawks, who are a pretty good team themselves. So you got to think bigger picture as well. And so far, I just didn't see it in this game, particularly the offense. I don't know what they're doing. the offense makes no sense at all to any of us as fans. The lack of utilizing Tank Bigsby or Will Shipley, for that matter, who's shown some flashes of being a good number 2 back. The trying to force Jalen Hurts to be a pocket passer when that's not who he is does not work. And newsflash, leaving Jalen Hurts sitting in the pocket where he's going to get plummeted by the defensive line is more likely to cause him to get hurt, I think, than him running the ball. Because at least Jalen Hurts, when he runs, he knows when to slide. He knows how to get out of bounds. He's been practicing that for years as a dual threat quarterback. And trying to change it after all these years, make him go against his main strength, it's clearly not working out. The offense doesn't look the same. Whenever Jalen Hurts is trying to be, you're forcing him to be a pocket passer. When you let him be who he is, he plays at his best. So I'll come out and say this is a hot take to close out. Kevin Patullo has shackled Jalen Hurts all season long by forcing him to be a pocket passer. So, yeah, I think at the end of the season, we got to realize that giving Kevin Patullo was a mistake. Those power. And Arku says, imagine if the Cowboys had that win against the Packers. If that's the case, you'd be sitting at 6-4, which you'd still be 2 games back. But to be fair, you would have had a better shot at a wild card berth. Because I'm going to look at the standings right now and see real quick. So Cowboys are at 5-5-1. Packers are at 7-3-1. There would be Cowboys at 6-4, Packers at 7-4, which, granted, both teams would have, and Packers would have been up by 1 game because more win, but it would have played out better for your wild card odds. But that's the way it is, though, man. So as far as this game goes, credit to the Dallas Cowboys for getting this W, man. Eagles got to come back on a shortened week against the Bears. I'm not very optimistic about that one at all. So I'll leave it at that. So, guys that tuned in, thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this. Arku, Mike Green, thanks for stopping by. Hope you enjoyed this. Now, tomorrow we'll be back. I'll be back live at noon for episode 36 of the 3-Point Blitz. We're going to mainly recap Week 12 of the NFL, talk about some of the other games and highlights, such as the Buffalo Bills' embarrassment against the Houston Texans, the Rams destroying the Buccaneers. Also going to talk the Chicago Bears' unexpected surge now at 8-3, the Kansas City season-saving win, Shedeur Sanders' NFL debut, and a little bit about the NBA, OKC Thunder, the Detroit Pistons' hot start. All that tomorrow, episode 36 of the 3-Point Blitz at noon Eastern Standard Time. So stay tuned for that. If you're catching this on the Hardcore Sports Network, you haven't gotten my channel yet, there's the link to my channel. There's the link to my channel to sub me up. And you can, like I said, so with that being said, y'all, have a great rest of your night. It's your boy Nicky Stee signing off. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm still here representing the Birds, win or lose. I'll take my loss like a man, and I'll still be repping the Birds. So with that being said, y'all, have a great night. It's your boy Nicky Stee signing off. Catch y'all tomorrow on the 3-Point Blitz. Catch y'all 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, exclusively on the Hardcore Sports Network for NFL Pick'ems Week 13 with myself, Agent Warrior. That's on tap tomorrow. So with that being said,